Of the three. Matter of fact, I've always repeatedly spoke about the first two, which is purpose and power. I love to speak about those because it's like an endless conversation that you can have about power and purpose when it relates to people. So the path is going to be interesting for me because that's a new addition to the three P's. I like that. So let's dig into it. Let's dig into it. Let's take a moment and say hello to the people that are here. And what's going on, Ronnie? And then music, DMV. Also, Silver Fox, Evelyn, Mom, how you doing? And Ronnie. Hey, we don't have a whole lot of people in the chat. Y'all go ahead and share that link. Share the link. Share the link. Share the link, and we can dive into this conversation. Um, I'm gonna start out with letting you define what do you believe those three P words mean: power,
Yeah,
purpose, and path. Or path. Which one is first? It's purpose, power, and path.
purpose.
That's
Yes.
right.
Your purpose, your power, and your path. And so thank you for letting me define it because, people talk about things, they hear those words and they think differently about what they mean. So, yeah, let me define purpose. I mean, when you think about the word purpose, it's like the dictionary definition, the purpose is the reason for which something was created. And so think about applying that to yourself. And that is your purpose means the unique way that you execute or you carry out the reason for which you were created. So for me, let me just elaborate. I know that I was created to help bring hope to this world. And there's a unique way with my personality, with my talents, my abilities, my experiences that I actually carry that out. And so that is my purpose. And so that's the definition of purpose. And I want to definitely hear how do you define your purpose?
Well, I'm just gonna spin off what you were saying about purpose. It's the same. It's the same definition. It's just a different spin on it. For me, purpose is is basically the whole reason why you're created, and everything that you are, or everything that you should be, and everything that is within you, um, manifests itself to a point where you begin to serve in the capacity of whatever that is that is embedded in you.
Yeah.
So that's my definition of it. And I think you begin to embark on it once you begin to manufacture all those gifts and all those talents and everything that makes you who you are. When you begin to manufacture that and realize that, hey, I have something here, it's a recipe for fulfillment, success, and all that other good
Yeah.
stuff.
So these are the three things that I believe that is important that everyone should know in their life. And it took me some time to be able to identify what my purpose was. There are a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure you can agree, that are walking around and they don't know their purpose,
I
or they
agree.
don't think it's significant to know their purpose. So, as we're talking about each one of these things that I believe is so important and impactful, it's important that you know this. And so, I'm just kind of curious as far as what do you believe that your purpose is, and why do you think it's important for a person to know about that? Like I know for me, it's hope. I always find a way where it doesn't matter as far as how I live my life. My life revolves around giving hope to others. I can do that all day long. It doesn't wear me out. It actually incites me. It gets me passionate about it. I live there. I thrive there. So giving hope is what I do automatically. And so I was able to finally identify that and say that's my purpose, you know. But
Oh,
your
okay.
thoughts?
Uh, those are my thoughts as well. That's my sentiment. Actually, I believe that most folks, this is just my personal opinion. Full disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, therapist, mental health coach, or anything of that nature. I'm just a guy with some great life experiences that I'm willing to share with you. So
That's
take it,
awesome.
take it if you can use it. If not, then you know what to do with the rest. But my definition of purpose is taking those things that are embedded in you and that you were created for, and using it as a form of serving others, not yourself necessarily. Um, yes, I do. Um, y'all, how do I describe my purpose? I did not find my purpose until it was later on in life, right? So I thought I knew. As a young man, I was into a whole lot of technology and electronics and stuff like that. So I thought my purpose was to be like in the entertainment business and be a DJ and be, a musician or something like that, and be on TV. You know, so it's as you mature as an adult, you start to really start to yearn to determine to figure out what is it that your purpose is. What are you made for? Why am I here? What's the reason I'm on this earth? And then you start to yearn for
Yeah.
that thing. And it's not, most people think it's making as much money as possible, or a status, or a prefix before your name, a position, um, a location. But your purpose is something that's inside of you. And that's why I say, as we mature, we begin to embark on it and find it, because as you start to mature as an adult, your desires for fulfillment in life becomes a lot more meaningful, and you start to be more intentional on the things that you do,
Yeah.
and intentional on the things that you do not want to be involved in. So to answer your question in short, um, my purpose is to I'm kind of like a dream finder. Like, I help people find their destiny. I think my purpose is to help people recognize the power within, and help them identify with their purpose, and guide them in a direction to receive that. So I'm not necessarily giving people the the blueprint, or giving people power or the energy or anything of that nature. Just basically realizing what's inside of them and pulling out the power to help you lean more into your purpose.
And that's awesome. And because, there are a lot of people who can articulate their purpose. They can't articulate it, or they don't think it's important to really know what their purpose is. Because a lot of people believe that, just like you said, that their purpose is what you do. Your purpose is nothing about what you do. And let me be honest here. And I was one of them, where I felt like, just like you said, my purpose was wrapped up around my last name changing, or my career, um, having kids, or certain things like that. Whatever society would dictate to you what you should be doing. And we're all looking for a better quality of life. We are. Instinctively, we know when we're not operating in that better quality of life. We're seeking for it. And so as we're seeking for it, it is going to be that question of, what is my purpose, what I'm here to do. And so if you are stuck, and I want some interaction here. So please put a one in the chat if you feel like you cannot articulate, or you feel like you've gotten stuck as far as, what is my purpose? Because I want this to resonate with a lot of people, because it's I believe it's life changing. And that is, if you've always felt like these were the things that defined who you are, and that this is what gives you purpose, you can miss it. And then you can feel like it's not significant or as important, because you were always feeling like, my purpose is, I have to be a mom. So what happens if you're not a mom? My purpose is, I have to win, or I have to earn $1 million. So what if that doesn't happen? And so the purpose is not in what you do, it is who you are. It is what resonates with you, naturally, easily for you. And just like you were saying, you help people to find their dreams. You help them to turn towards their dreams and to walk in it. For me, I give them hope and inspiration. I do that to help people live out those dreams, or whatever they're wanting to do in their life. But it is hard for people who can't articulate it, or they feel like it's not significant. What are your thoughts on that?
what I believe about that is that I think that's the whole thing about coaching. Like a lot of folks have something special inside of them, something that they know that is a lot more powerful than what they're using. They have a lot more that's embedded in them, and the desire is deep. However, at the same time, being able to articulate what it is, why, and what should they do with it, that becomes something that people struggle with. So, like for example, someone may realize that they have a gift, but they didn't ask for it, don't necessarily know how to cultivate it. But people come to them
Yep.
frequently to do this thing or to assist with this thing, and then it becomes annoying and aggravating. This thing that you do that everybody's calling you. Why are they always calling me? So many other people can do this. Why they always asking me? So that is the inability at that time to articulate what that purpose is, right? So I actually wrote a note here earlier. It says, I think a good way, and I heard this earlier. I think a good way to identify what your purpose is that thing that you would do if you could not fail.
Yeah.
That that is a shortcut to how to help you develop what your purpose is. What's that one thing that you can do? You didn't lose. You didn't lose money. You didn't lose time. It wasn't embarrassing. It wasn't painful. But you can do it 100% without failing. What would that thing be? And that would really, really help you identify what your purpose is. What are your thoughts on that?
No, you are absolutely right. Because I think some people they miss that. And because people think the definition of purpose has to be something grand, something great, but that is greatness. It is greatness for you to be able to identify what that is, something that you never fail at, you know. And so once you are able to identify what that is, don't let anyone talk you out of executing it, walking in it, and living in it because we fall into that comparison trap. I think, if you if there's somebody else out there that know that their purpose is to give hope like myself, what I said was that with my unique personality, my abilities, my experiences, I am able to help help the world with giving them hope. And that other person, they do what how they're supposed to execute it in a unique way of giving hope. Um, so you're absolutely right. Um, when people look at that and they identify and they say, yes, hey, I can do this without fail easily. People keep coming to me for this. And I don't think it's significant because I'm not making $1 million, maybe yet. Or you are they're comparing it to celebrity or their definition of greatness is that I have to be great or famous. Um, so I think people miss those cues. They miss that. But the whole purpose and why I believe it's significant that you must know your purpose is so that you can live a fulfilled life and a better quality of life. Because it is living a purpose driven life that will lead you to um, happiness and joy. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I agree. I agree that the book Purpose Driven Life is one of the most um, grossing, highest selling books in history. Purpose Driven Life is one of that's next to the Bible, right?
Yeah.
So purpose driven life, and that's letting me know that a lot of people are thirsty for their purpose. A lot of people are interested in figuring out why am I here, what am I supposed to be doing. A lot of us, like a great way. Like I spoke about this on the show earlier. I think Doctor earlier this year with Dr. Marcia. Um, the idea, I think that we should add purpose as a course into uh, grade school, at the university level. You know, I think that should be something that we focus more on because I think that's the thing that we miss. We teach the foundations and the basics of life hierarchy, but purpose is not something that we really uh, focus on. And why am I saying that? Because all of my friends and everyone I know, um, most people, most people, not all, most people get an education or degree in something totally different that's in alignment with their purpose,
Yeah.
right? So I know people with accounting degrees that are engineering, you know. I know people with culinary degrees, that are doing something that's doing real estate. So you have people that are really perplexed in their young adulthood and teenage
Yeah.
life, and they're trying to figure out what their purpose are. The question that we've been asked as students, as young people, we're always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? That is the mind shaping identity rule right there, right? So you're trying to figure out, what do I want to be? So at some point, I believe unintentionally, you were pressed to come up with something that you can identify with, right? So then you would hear folks say, young people say, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an attorney. And what happened is the
Yeah.
system began to shape you for that. So you've identified with something early in life that you would like to mimic, and the system is set up and designed to kind
Hmm.
of corral you in a direction for success. And this is why I believe that if there were a course that was embedded for your purpose based on who you are, your wiring, your strength, your DNA, your makeup, that would help you identify what you're more likely to be successful and fulfilled with, in that particular area. What are your thoughts on that?
You are absolutely right. But you said something very key, that is how you are wired and who you are. Based upon that, that is the foundation there. So knowing how who you are and how you're wired, people don't really take the time to look in the mirror and find out who they are. They would rather feel comfortable with someone dictate to them who they are. I am surprised at some of the people that I have coached, and counseled, and you ask them who they are and they stumble. They're unable to articulate it or find the words because they are not confident in that area. And I believe the confidence will come whenever you understand what gives you strength, which I want to go into talking about your power, which is the second thing that I believe is important for people to know. Having that purpose, knowing your purpose. But once you find out who you are and you find out how you're wired and you know what, your purpose is based upon that, then you are wondering, well, how do I keep this going? How do I follow through with this? And that is your power. Now, I want to say this, that I'm a firm believer that, those who believe in a greater power, that you have to stay connected to your source, because that's where it comes from, is staying connected to your source and having that empowerment to do your purpose, to enact and walk out your purpose. And in that, I believe that there are some superpowers. And I know, Rich, you talked about that, in an earlier chat, I'm sorry, discussion about your superpower. And I want to define about your superpower. Basically, it is that unique, ability, talent that is God given, that is just given from your creator, your superpower. That is my definition for that. And so it is important for you, I believe, to stay connected to your source, because that's where your strength comes. And in that humility of that, you're operating also in your unique abilities, or your superpower, so to speak. So what are your thoughts about your power?
Well, I love that. I love that topic. Let me reset the room for a second, right? So those of you that may have logged on after we started the conversation, we're talking about the three P's. I labeled it the three P's, right? That is, and by the way, this is Lady L's conversation. I'm just riding with her. This is a good one because I've had this conversation before about power and purpose, but the conversation today is about, purpose, power, and path. And I thought it was very, very interesting the way that they were pulled together. So um, I gave my definition of what I believe purpose is. It's that thing that you're wired to do, that thing that you're created to do. It's embedded in you when you get here. You just have to manufacture it and figure out what it is. Let it manifest into who you are. And now we're kind of unraveling the definition of power. And for those of you that have been following the Rich Live Show for a while, you know I have this thing that we speak about, which is being unplugged and plugging yourself back in, and how to get your surge and your power back. What I believe the definition of power is just that. Is I believe that every individual that's listening, everyone on this earth have these three different things, which is purpose, power, and path. Pathway. That's what we're saying. Path. Path. Once you identify what your purpose is, you know, understanding the power that you have within yourself is very important. When I realized the power, um, it's a funny thing. I would be in a place where there's several people, and these would be strong men, these would be powerful women, especially in my former law enforcement years, and there would be captains and leaders and majors and all these powerful people, and I thought they were just so powerful. But then sometimes the microphone would come out, and then the stage, it would be time to walk on the stage, and it would be time to stand in front of the podium and present to hundreds of people, and they would feel powerless sometimes because people are not all geared to be public speakers, regardless of the position that they hold. And it was in that moment I started realizing that I was born for this. Give me a microphone. So as powerless as I may have felt as far as title, as far as my position, I was probably always the most powerful person in the room. Whenever there was a PA system and a microphone, I'll say what you need me to say. I'll make the announcement. Give me the microphone. So the power in me was my voice that I was starting to recognize. It was my strength and my confidence and my ability to command a room, my ability to speak with a certainty and influence as I speak. So all this time coming up as a kid, I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be on my own radio show. I wanted to be, on television. I wanted to do all these wonderful things, but I couldn't understand. But if there was a course called purpose, it would have helped me identify that my power was in my ability to speak and how I use this voice that God had given me. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And now I'm taking all those tools that I've acquired along the way, IT, electronics, audio, visual, all my life experience, police, all of that. And I've bundled it together into this one thing called the power of my voice and what it brings. And that's my purpose.
That's awesome. I like that. We have some very similar experiences. You make me want to share a couple of things of myself about my childhood. For me, I was that child that did well with public speaking. Whenever we had the Christmas plays, I was always the one that was picked out from the Sunday school class to stand up in front and to do the introduction and to talk. And I learned from an early age how to project my voice, and I love doing it and talking and being able to do the school play or the church play or whatever. Um, and then being able to give that message in front of people, I thrived there, and I didn't know why. Um, so you're absolutely right. I agree with you that I think that is a course that should be taught earlier on for children, for adults. I mean, it's never too late. These things that we're talking about, it's never too late for you to actually find them and to tap into it. Because I believe that the reason that you are here, there's time for you to actually walk into it and to develop that. And so there are cues, there are things like just like Rich was talking about. as far as what he find the power in his voice. And for me, very similar, finding the power of my voice and finding out that whenever I would walk into a room, there was something that I had to say, and so I miss out on that because it wasn't the glamorous thing. It wasn't the well popular thing, so to speak. And it took me some years to identify my power, my superpower, um, and putting that together. So I truly believe that with your personality, with the mistakes that you've made, which I call experience, that helps you to learn more about who you are, how you're geared, how you're wired, and then the gift and uniqueness. There is a saying by Max Lucado, and I love this, and I have it written as an email signature on my email, and that is, he says that everybody has a instrument and a song, and you owe it to God to play it sublimely. And I'm a firm believer of that. You have your own song, you have an instrument that is unique for you, and you just focus on playing your song, okay? You're not out of tune. So,
Wow.
what are your thoughts about that?
That's powerful. Powerful. I love it. I love it. I love this conversation, man. This is good. It's hitting to the core, which is probably going to lead to us having some later dialogue in a more formal fashion, maybe in a form of a workshop or a master class or something like that. So hey, keep your eyes tuned in. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're subscribing. Let me reset for a few seconds. Give me a few seconds because there are some comments here in the chat room. I would love to dive in, and then I want to challenge the people in the chat to say what they believe their purpose is. So I want to thank Silver Fox, Miss Evelyn, and music for your comments, and Miss Freeman and Veronica, everybody that's here, Sheila, Sheila G, and Mrs. Zola Miami Gardens. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. So Ronnie has a question. Is this a question of a statement or a statement? Uh, I've been there before, asking God, "What's my purpose?" Now she knows. Okay, that's good that you know. Um,
Yeah.
and it's good. So how you doing, Marie? And for those of you that know, how you doing, Bridget? That know who your purpose is. That's good. Sheila has a good question. Can you overpower your path with purpose? That's a deep question. I'm gonna ask that again. Can you overpower
Yeah.
your path with purpose? Um, I'm I'm gonna let you take a shot at that if you can.
Well, I want to answer that question, but I want to talk about path because we haven't really defined
Okay,
it or talked about it.
so hold that.
Um, yeah, let's hold that question and come back to that because I want to address it. Um,
Okay.
so your path or your pathway, so to speak, I define that as the way that you carry out your purpose. Um, and people miss it because just like you were saying earlier, Rich, that people are geared a certain way whenever they say, "Hey, I want to be a fireman," "Hey, I want to be a nurse," and then society gears them a certain way to execute that, to follow that, and then they feel that that's the only way that they can actually achieve it. And then for most circumstances, probably so. I'm just going to share with you my belief, okay? Because sometimes life, we all know this, life does not take you from a straight point or straight line to actually execute or to find that or to walk it out. You go up and down hills and valleys or go around. Sometimes you stay this journey of life that we're on. Sometimes we freeze or we actually tap out for a while and then we get back in. So it's never straight. It's up and down, it's all around. And so I think where we get it confused is that we fall into the comparison trap of looking at our journey compared to somebody else. And then we get distracted or we get discouraged. And I think that's what I was sharing with you about. It's not about what you see, it's about what you believe. Meaning that you have to look at what do you believe about your life? What do you believe about your purpose and your power and how you are supposed to execute it for your life? How are you supposed to carry that out? For example, if you have three hairstylists, three of them, and they believe that that is their purpose is to style hair. So What's going to happen if they are looking at each other and not focusing on their path or how they walk that out? Each of them have a unique way of how they're going to style hair. Some may do it for celebrities, some may do it for those in the hospital, and some may do it for everyone. But it's still unique and it's your purpose. But we get distracted because we feel like I didn't follow Susie Q's formula or blueprint on how I'm supposed to do this. And yes, there is a preferred way of doing it. But did you ever stop to think and check in with your source to figure out how you are supposed to execute your purpose? Sometimes we don't. We get distracted with that. But I want to stop right now and I want to give you an opportunity to speak on that, Richard. What are your thoughts about your path?
That is big. That is big. So this is good. This is good, and I want the listeners, the MSE fam, and all the people that's outside that's listening from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Please come inside the chat room because we are very personable, and we will speak back to you. But this is a good time to ask some questions because I know Lady L speaks from her life experience. I don't just pull stuff from the sky. I'm pulling stuff from my own life, and I love these questions. Please ask them, and we're going to get to them in a few shakes. So, Recant, shoot that question at me again.
So, the question, you talking about the one in the chat
No, the
or
statement,
just,
the statement that you just made.
no, I just wanted to hear your thoughts about what do you believe about the path, your pathway.
Um, I'll give you an example, and I'm pulling from real life stories. Um, when I got into law enforcement, the police side, I started out as a correction officer. Worked there for about 10, 11 years, and I came over to the police side. And back then, you typically you didn't get an assignment in plain clothes or detective or investigator unless you did at least 18 months at something else prior to. And I remember being recruited within months, and it was something that was rare. And I was pulled to the side, and I was told that, hey, listen, they're going to try to send you to headquarters, and it's a big city down there. And most people come back. Most people don't make it because it's rough. It's fast paced. You have to be smart as a whip. You have to know this. You have to do all these things. I recommend that you don't go. Give yourself about 5 years and think about it. And we're talking about path and how you're grounded and what's your source. I always knew that my source was always probably more powerful than my own belief system if I tapped into it. So against that counsel, it wasn't just one person, it was several people saying, don't go. You're going to end up being kicked out. You're going to end up coming back. You're going to end up failing. You're not going to make it. And you know what? I thought about it and I considered not going, but I considered the comments. I considered the education. I considered them pouring into me the best they could. But then I also had to consider my source. I also had to consider that things always work different for me. And I had my own destiny, and that this opportunity is a part of my destiny. So, to Sheila's question, can you overpower your path? Right? Yes, you can. You can. Because destiny is the direction that life will just take you on. We make our own turns because we have the power to do so. So sometimes you can listen to what people say and you can take the wrong kind of counsel, or you can counsel yourself, or you can make turns and provisions for yourself of what you think needs to be done, but destiny is already destined for you. You just have to believe that it's possible. So I left knowing that I was grounded in who I was, and I knew what my source was. I knew that although many have failed, the failure rate in some places was so high that I was going to fall in the odds. And I knew, based on my source, that things would be different for me, but not out of arrogance. Long story short, I never looked back. I never ended up back at the district. I never ended up back in the city. I just kept elevating, and I elevated out the building into the FBI, the DEA. I elevated into the country and then outside the country. But had I taken that advice from people that meant well, I had to know my foundation. I had to know my source, and I had to believe in it, and I never went back. So understand that everyone's destiny is destined for them. I cannot look at the man or woman to the left or the right of me and make those decisions, because we all have. You can't give me a blood transfusion because I don't know your blood type. So I can't be concerned about the blood that's running through your vein. I got specific DNA in me that if I take care of the DNA in me and know my blood type, then whatever provision is made for me is going to work specifically for me. Period.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree with that. That's why it's so important for you to have these three things in your life, to know these three things in your life, because this is better quality of life. When you know your purpose and you know your power and you stay connected to your power, then you're able to walk your path for you, no one else's, but your path.
Period.
And it's very hard and difficult to do when you are unsure, when you're unsure, or where you won't take the time to find out about your purpose and your power. Um, and you think that your path has to be like someone else's. I want to read something in the chat, some comments that I see here. And then there's a question. There's a comment from Marie. Thank you, Marie, for commenting in chat. And she says, my problem is when I know I'm doing very well and I want to share my thoughts on it. And these people are supposed to be my so-called close family. And then it breaks me down for a minute. And she comments on that. And so, yeah, I can understand where you are and can relate. I don't know, Rich, if you wanted to comment on Marie's comment or not. But yeah, it does um, can be daunting, whenever you feel like you're doing okay and then you check in with other people and it discourages you. So my question or my comment is, and I think which you were talking about that is, you want to go in this direction that other people are going. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people. So when you know your purpose and you understand your power and staying connected to that, then you want to be around like-minded people. I think I shared this once before, and it's like your connections take you somewhere, and it can either take you away from your purpose or closer to it. And so you want to make a conscious decision or be intentional with going in the same direction that you know that you should be walking your path. That's why it's important for you to know your path. There are going to be some other people on that along with you who are seem to be aligned with you, but still stay focused on your path. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts about that, Rich?
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with you. She said something that's key, and I really want to dive into the psychology behind family and friends and purpose.
Mm,
And that is a powerful conversation, family, friends, and purpose, right? So, yes, Sheila, comment interesting about overpowering your purpose or your path. Yes. What happens is that when you're listening to those sources that really don't have the blueprint to what it is that you should be doing or the direction you should be going. And it's like, if these people are not architects of your life, why are you allowing them to build your destiny?
mhm,
You know, would you go to a restaurant to have them create a recipe for your home that you're going to have built? No. The recipes they create is not for construction. People do not have blueprints to your destiny. People are not trained to tell you what it is that your source has provided for you. I don't care who it is, the person next to you,
right.
someone that you may believe that is a scholar or smarter than you. The wisest guy from some of the best pastors, preachers, teachers, coaches, motivational speakers, they would never tell you specifically what to do. And that's because they're very, very, very knowledgeable about understanding they do not have your specifics. They were not given the answer key on what you should do. Their job is to figure out how to help you understand what your superpower is, what your purpose is. But you have got to allow that thing to manifest within yourself, because the person next to you, your family member, your friend, the psychology behind family and friend and purpose is all commingled. Family believe that because they know you, that they know your purpose. And that's why most people do not succeed in the places where they're from, because they know too much.
Yeah.
They have too much access to you bumping your head. They have too much access to your failures. They see how clumsy you were as you were trying to evolve. And it's hard to cultivate or manufacture or allow to manifest that thing in you that's burning with the people that don't have the blueprint to it. And most often, it's the closest people to you, your family and friends. You could look at all of my family and friends that I came up with, that I send these alerts out. Hey, I'm going to be on the air. Check me out. Check me out. Tune in, tune in. They're not tuning in. They're not tuning in. Oh, I have had over 300,000 viewers. And the smallest percentage are going to be my family and my friends. They're not my audience. The people that I am serving and making a difference in their lives are complete strangers. My family members and friends are not calling me and saying, you changed my life. You made me feel better. You put me on the path towards my dream. I'm not getting those phone calls from family and friends. My information is not being shared by my family and friends. My classmates and all these people, they're not following me because they know the old version. So the psychology behind expecting solidification from people that know the old you is false pretense of what the new you is. They're not ready to recognize the evolvement of who you become. Stop searching for the new you with the old audience. Period.
That's awesome. I love that. Um, I see there's another question in the chat, and I want to give some attention to it. Sheila G had a question. I believe Ronnie was posting this. Should purpose be passionate or an obligation? And so I want to answer that. It should be passion, because obligation speaks to or lends to a chore. It should be a passion. And it is something that you cannot fail at, like Rich was saying. It's something that you thrive on. It's something that it you get up every day, you have to do this. I mean, because it's within you. You feel like this is what's propelling you forward, is that fire, that passion within you. I do not believe it should be an obligation, because then you are looking at it differently and you may start being begrudging it in a sense. So, in my answer to that, my belief is that it should be that fire and that passion that you have within you.
Ooh,
What
that's
are
a
your
big
thoughts
one.
on that,
That's
Rich?
a big one. That's a big one. That's a big one. We're going to have to agree on part of that. I believe
Okay.
I believe what you're saying is 100% true. And I believe what I'm about to say is 100% true, which is going to be the
Okay.
contrary. Passion is your driver. Passion is your fuel. Passion is your vehicle. Passion is your why. But then the other side of that is obligation. Obligation, it's none of my business on why I was created to have the voice. It's not my business on why was I given these gifts. I didn't develop these gifts. I nurtured them, but I was placed here with these things in me from birth. So the obligation for me to impact the world is my responsibility. Whatever was given to me wasn't given to me for me. It was given to me to serve, for service, for me to help someone along the way. You're speaking to Rich Live today, so eloquently speaking, because someone else knew it was their obligation to pour into me, like my parents, like the community leaders, the people that helped me along the way, that helped me cultivate and shrug me to the left and the right when I was going in the wrong direction. So it's because they fulfill their obligation that I'm able to live and walk in my purpose. Passion will come and go. It's up to you whether or not you want to be passionate or not about something. But your purpose, it doesn't die. Whether you want to turn it on or off, it is an obligation. And you find yourself more passionate once you embark on your obligation. We all are obligated to fulfill some purpose on this earth. And this is how people's lives are saved. This is how something is pushing you to say something to somebody you don't know. It was their last day on this earth and they were thinking about ending it. This is Suicide Prevention Month. At some point, I said something to someone and they decided to stay here. That video that I did, today's a good day not to quit, that saved someone's life. That was my obligation. So I believe you're right, and I believe I'm right. So I'm saying that
That's
in the
good.
most eloquently way, that I think we have some obligation, but some of us decide to turn it down or off.
That's actually good. I mean, hey, you're absolutely right. I like that how you bring it to light about your obligation to do it and to move forward. That you were born with this. So hey, I agree with you. We have that same perspective to look at it differently. And there's one more question I want you to answer that's in the chat, and I think this is a really good one. And that is Sheila G was asking, is it possible to have more than one purpose? So what is your answer for that?
Yes, yes. Matter of fact, most people, when you identify that single one purpose, you could niche down, but it's those other collateral things that you have acquired along the way helps you with your purpose. So, for example, no one's perfect. So, from childhood up to teenagehood, something may have happened traumatically in your life that fuels your purpose even more. So then your adulthood, you maybe, or young adulthood, maybe you got an education, maybe you got a degree, maybe you picked up a trade, right? Maybe you had more trauma, maybe you experienced more things. So all those things create a variations of purpose. So at this juncture of your life, maybe your purpose was to pour into someone or be poured into or minister to someone or coach someone or share your story with someone. That was your purpose in that season. So then as life goes on, see, my purpose was to be a cop, but I saved somebody's life twice. I was supposed to be at that body of water with that young lady underneath the bottom of the pool. I was supposed to be there. So by pulling this person's lifeless body up, providing CPR, saving this person's life, who's now adult now, right?
Mm.
That was my purpose in that moment. And now I'm doing something totally different. It was a different purpose. But this conversation that we're having on the microphone today, it includes all those different paths on my journey while I was fulfilling my destiny. My purpose was driving me. So I can use all that collateral from all those different purposes to be able to speak and use my purpose, which is my vocal cords, to tell you exactly that purpose is not one dimensional, it's omnidimensional.
That's good. I love that.
Thank you.
So now you understand why I was so excited about this topic today because this is life changing. This is life altering discussions that we are having here. And so, just for a moment, I know we're getting ready to wrap up. I want to just shift my attention to someone who is listening to us and the sound of our voice from another country. And you're hearing this and you're getting hope or you are reevaluating your life and you're looking at it and we're just glad that you're listening and we just want to encourage you for just one moment and to say to continue to take another look at your life. Take this opportunity to take another look, meaning that the perspective that you thought you had of your life, change that. Be open to really look at who you are and discover your purpose, discover your power, and then move into your path. And so it's never too late for you to tap into these things, to discover these things, because you are still here. And the reason why you're still here, there's still time for you to walk in fulfillment and live life differently than what you have done before. So we want to hear from you, whether you reach out to us at MSC or whether you reach out to someone, please, by all means, if you need help. Yes, we're talking about those who are at a low moment, who may be depressed, and the suicide prevention we have, you can call 988 if ever you feel like it's just too much for you. But by all means, we want you to listen into what we're saying because we're talking to you. We're talking to you. This is for you. If you were looking for a sign of for a cue, this is your cue, this is your sign, and that it is never too late for you to walk into your purpose and your power and your path. Which would you like to share?
I don't think there's much to share. That's a great conversation. Great wrap up.
Awesome.
Love it. Y'all do me a favor. Throw some hearts in the chat room for Lady L and this wonderful conversation. I think it's a great topic, and it's not the last you're going to hear of it from us. So hopefully we said something or done something or answered your question or inspired you to do something different with your life. But I say that to say this. This is the Rich Life Show. My host, Lady L, has brung a complete dimension, different dynamic, amazing dynamic. And I'm loving what we're doing. So, hey, make sure you're subscribing, downloading the app, keeping us abreast of what's going on and what your thoughts are. And we'll continue to reach out to you. This has been a Rich Live production, and I want you guys to stand by for another amazing conversation, and you will be blown away. So stand by and get ready for the one and only Up Sis Up show. Dr. Marcia and her wonderful guests, and she
Yes.
always have some amazing conversations. And her energy, I'm telling you, it's always on probably 13, 14, not 10. So, hey, without further ado, stand by and give us about a minute to change the sets. And this has been a Rich Live production. Know that I love you. We love you. And there's absolutely nothing you
Yes.
can do about it. Right, Lady O?
That's absolutely right.
All right. Until the next time. See ya.
Good evening. Hello. I am Dr. Marcia, and welcome to this week's episode